looking for love. I'm really looking forward to this next section, but we're going to be looking, there's a huge stigma in Ireland around seeking help for matters of the heart, yet more and more of us are creating online dating profiles and going speed dating to find our other half. I used to say, God be with the days when you waited on the dance floor for Nights in White Satin, Whiter Shade of Pale, or Freebird by Leonard Skinner. Has the music changed? Is that the problem? I'm joined by three great guests who are going to talk about this matchmaking and dating businesses. I've got Jennifer Haskins here. She's from a company called Two's Company. Fergal Harrington from Intro, and Avril Mulcahy, who's known as the modern matchmaker. You're all very welcome to Down to Business. And this is not a subject we've covered before, so excuse my naivety on the matter, but Avril, maybe you might just paint the scene for us and tell us what the dating scene and what's the marketplace like, to use a business term, in the love business.
Well, there's a whole load of singles here, first of all. Listen, it's a fantastic business to be in. I don't think any one of us are in this, I suppose, primarily for the money of it. You're in this because you're passionate about it. It's a great industry. Am
I right in saying that there are 1.5 million single people in Ireland?
Yeah,
so that's when I say the marketplace, that's really where we start.
Yes, yeah, and there's loads of things. It's recession proof. Love, everyone needs to find love. And my mother always said to me, she said, always remember three things. She said, have a roof over your head. She said, have food in your stomach, and she says, have love in your heart. And I suppose, I manage people's love lives. So it's a great industry to be in.
So tell us how you do that. How do you monetize this business? And again, I'm obviously interested in the subject matter, but I'm curious as to how the business model works.
Okay, so, I'm quite different, I would think, than the others. I actually try and throw a whole load of balls in the air and try and juggle them, because I feel that you need to understand your client. And, matchmaking, I am the modern matchmaker, and I do one-on-one matchmaking.
So you do a one-on-one, and then you'll charge a fee to me.
Yes,
on the basis of time or success or otherwise, or maybe a combination of both.
Yeah, and I'm also a qualified coach. So if someone comes in to me, we're going to work together for about an hour, and I'll set them a dating plan of action. And with that, I really get to know you. I have an 8-page application form that they need to fill out. Now, the boys often don't fill it out, and I'm okay with that. I get you, boys. But it's really to understand what you're looking for. And after that, I go out and I headhunt on behalf of you. I find people everywhere. I'm a social butterfly. I'm a networker, and I go out there and I will search. But I use social media a lot, so you could often see on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And I am, as I said, managing people's love lives. So you pay me a fee.
And Fergal Harrington from Intro, let's just talk about your business now. And it's slightly different to Avril's. Just maybe set the scene again for us. Tell us how you operate.
Well, we have a matchmaking service there where we operate from our offices on Dawson Street. We have a suite of offices there. So people would come in to meet with us face to face. They'd be signed up on the day, and we would then arrange dates for them.
Now, just a couple of things. So do I have to be seen by you? Do you have to physically meet me?
You would come into the offices there. We have a team of 6 staff working there in the offices on Dawson Street. You'd come in for about a half an hour, 40 minutes, tell us about yourself, previous relationship history, and what it is that you're looking for in a partner. Then we add a profile of you onto our secure database, and then arrange all of your dates. We go as far as to actually book the restaurants for you, and we do a follow-up as well. It's going extremely well. 1 in 4 actually of all the dates that we arrange end in a long-term relationship, and 1 in 3 of everyone walking through the door is recommended by a friend.
So if I put it's not like the old social and personal days.
No.
Fat bald farmer from Kilkenny with 3 acres of land seeks love and seeks friendship and maybe more.
Exactly.
Right.
But no, it's massive. Just back to what Avril was saying, there's the number of divorced and separated people in Ireland, according to the CSO, in 2011 increased within 5 years up by 22.3%. So there's 204,000 separated and divorced people in 2011. So it's increasing all the time.
Let's bring in Jennifer Haskins from Two's Company. Jennifer, again, slightly different model. Tell us about your love world.
Well, I suppose similar to the others. I'm a matchmaker. We've been doing this now for a good few years. We're in our 4th year. My background before that, I'd been in business for 23 years in manufacturing, and then I studied counselling and psychotherapy. Like Avril, then I became a qualified coach. So all of these things, I think, add to what our levels of expertise and what we can offer to people. We get lots of people who are separated, divorced, widowed, and people who are looking for a second time round or a third time round.
And I know society has changed, things have moved on. There, like 20, 25 years ago, there was probably a stigma around being separated. Like there's, so the whole, our world has changed. People now are delighted to see somebody get a second chance, get a third chance, whatever it is. But what about the whole? People are still, there's a reluctance somewhere in all this that says, I'm just maybe not comfortable sharing my inner secrets. I don't know where it's going to go. Is somebody going to lie to me? Can they hide behind a screen? Would I be right in saying that there's another ways to go in terms of people being totally comfortable with this as a mechanism for meeting one's other half?
Well, yeah, I mean, people do find it difficult. If you think back 2 years ago where our parents met and how we met, I mean, there were the dance halls, as you said earlier, and there was a code about how people met. If a guy asked you up to dance and you stayed with them for more than 3 dances, that was the signal, okay, I'm interested, let's take this to the next level, and you get to ask the girl out for a date. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I get people even in their late 20s and 30s coming to me saying, it's really difficult out there to meet somebody. The whole social scene has changed from what it was even 10, 20 years ago. People now are drinking at home or in friends' houses, then they're going out. So there's a lot of alcohol taken. So therefore, people who come to us might say, well, the pub scene isn't for me.
Yeah.
I actually would like to meet somebody that I feel gets me.
When you think about it logically, it's probably the worst place to meet anybody is in a pub, in a drink environment, and some people having had
Loud
too much
music.
to drink.
Well, I think people need to remember that it's just one option. Like a bar is an option to meet someone. I have people coming to me and they just go to bars. They do nothing else. So they're not trying all the different options that are out there. So yeah, like matchmaking is really, really good for people that have kind of tried the other options and they find they're not working for them. So maybe their networks aren't working for them. They're working very hard. They're in environments that they're not being put in front of good quality eligible singles. And I suppose as matchmakers, that's our job, is to go out and recruit that.
Where do we sit if we compare ourselves to our British counterparts or Europe in terms of the evolution of the industry? Are we behind? Is it culturally, where does it sit?
Well, yes, I mean, we are behind, but it is a very, very large growth area in Ireland, and it's growing year on year. And we have found in the last few years that every year there's a huge increase in the amount of people that are coming to us. So what we would like is that this becomes normalised. The more people are aware that we exist, the more people try it and recommend us to other people. Therefore, people get the idea, well, look, this is an option. It is maybe a better way to find somebody. And you must remember that matchmaking has been in Ireland for thousands of years.
Even before listed environment.
Exactly.
I think it's becoming an awful lot more acceptable, though, because it is completely private and confidential, as opposed to putting your information for everyone to see online.
Well, there you are, Fergal. You're employing 7 people there on Dawson Street. Like this is a business,
and we can hardly keep up with the demand. So it's not the lack of interest. I mean, we. In terms of the population, the challenge that we face is more down to sort of population and education disparities. I mean, there's more women than men in Ireland, and
is there a real? It isn't a 50-50 scenario.
No,
so did I read somewhere that there could be 20 women for every one man?
We're 60-40% women
right.
to men. That's the ratio for us. But the challenges we have, I suppose, is that between 25 and 35 year old women, half of them have third level education against less than 4 in 10. And I think it was a quarter of the women who are in employment are in professional occupations, as opposed to less than 15%. So, and everyone's looking for their equivalent. Everyone's looking for their counterpart, both in status and profile and profession. And that's not possible. There's an imbalance there. So there needs to be compromise on everyone's part.
I have a text in here that says, how does a firm like this measure success? Do customers report back on how they got on?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Much so, yes.
Well, tell us more about that.
Well, after each date, you have to follow up. So we get a call, we call them the next day, and you find out how did the date go on. So if they decide to develop that relationship, or they decide to, no, that's not for me, and they move on to a different introduction. But feedback is huge for our industry.
I'm looking at some of the top tips here, and again, they're not rocket science. Prepare yourself. Basically, if you really want to find new lasting relationship, think about who you would like to meet, write a little stuff down, do some research, if you use a dating agency, ask what the costs will be. What about people being a little bit maybe disingenuous or economic with truth?
Well, I mean, we sit with everyone face to face, and they have to tell us. We have to take what they're telling us is as face value, I should say. And there's terms and conditions signed, as opposed to going online and saying you're 6 foot when it turns out you're 5'8". I mean, there's certain things you can't get away with. But we get all the details. We check passports to ensure people are who they say they are. So you have to take people, and people wouldn't come in. They wouldn't pay money. They wouldn't give their personal details and take the time out of their day unless they were
fair
genuine.
Comment.
Yeah.
Is it a conscious decision to make the sites private? I'd imagine Irish people are too reserved and shy for their profile to be public available. That's from Damien and Grace. And I think he might be right there. Like, isn't that your biggest fear, that somebody would see your
colleagues
on a site and say, well, what the hell is going on here?
The way I look at it, though, is, if people are on Facebook, they're on a public profile. And I think people forget that. They look at online dating sites and they go, oh, mother of God, there's a load of lulas on that. And the first question I'll ask them, I goes, are you on Facebook? And they go, yes. And goes, well, welcome to online dating, because I look at that as another way to connect. That's all we do. Like, we connect people. That's our job. But the biggest thing with matchmaking is it's very confidential and discreet. Like, my office is on Merrion Square, and you book an appointment. The biggest, I have a TD on my books at the moment, which is great.
Who is he? Go on, let him tell us.
But the biggest thing, the reason for that, he came to me, and I was always trying to get him to come to one of my events, and he goes, Avril, I can't go to one of your events. The whole country will see me there. So the biggest thing for him was confidentiality.
Yeah, and right, and understandably.
Very much so.
Yeah, well, definitely. Anybody that's even in the public eye, we find similarly to Avril that we get a lot of people, even celebrities, who would be very well known, who come to us, and for them it's paramount that their privacy and confidentiality are held at all times. And what they're looking for is a very tailor-made service. So therefore, it's my job to sit down with them, build a rapport with them, get to know them as well as possible, and find out what makes them tick, and exactly what they're looking for, and also taking into account people's history, because you must remember that we cater for singles. That's a huge part of our business with singles, but also, as I said earlier, people who've been married before.
Yeah.
And you've got to take in their experiences and also try and establish how ready they are. So that's where the counselling and the coaching all kick in, because you have to know that somebody is in the right place to date and to get back out there, and they're in the right frame of mind. And certainly that's something I give a bit of advice with, and even throughout the process I will take the time with them when they come back to me for feedback, and I will often meet with them a second or third time to try and get exactly what's happening with them, and give them, if it needs coaching, if I need to kind of say to them, look, why not try this approach, because this might work better for you. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to have a success and a relationship.
Interesting text just in. Why do the media constantly force the idea of love on the public? I'm a single man in my 40s, and being without a partner eliminates so many potential problems in my life. From Tom in Kildare. So he's saying, I'm single and I'm happy, so leave me alone.
I'm going to say something a bit mad here, but the whole marriage in a whole, it actually doesn't work for some people. And back 50, 60 years ago, people stayed in marriages and were stuck there and they didn't do anything about it. This is a whole new society here, and some people are looking for long-term relationships. Other people are looking to just be introduced to good, eligible singles, or some people are looking for shorter term relationships, and you need to know where to go about each one of those.
And there are 3 different marketplaces.
Very much so. And then some people, as that guy said there as well, that they're single and they're having a ball, and they need to be able to be okay with that as well. And it's not like being a singleton and lonely.
No.
He sounds really happy.
There's one more that says these guests are only talking about heterosexual matchmaking. Do they not offer the service to gay couples?
Yes,
Gay, lesbian, absolutely.
Nothing's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so where could we, if we look at this business now, it's becoming a little bit more organised. It seems to be, there's a bit of technology involved. Even the public perception of it seems to have improved in terms of, so maybe that this is a space that's probably going to grow.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And people that you'll find that customers are so what next? Where do you see it going?
Well, I see it getting bigger and bigger every year from now. I mean, as I said earlier, the more people are aware that companies like us exist, and there is a market out there for all of us. There's plenty of room for all of us in business. But I find that people even come back to me that have been with us before, because they come back because they have had a good experience the first time round and they enjoyed it, and they got out there and they met people. They may not have met Mr. Right or Miss Right, but they think, I enjoyed this, I had a great time, I want to go out and meet more people like that. But in Ireland, it's about people realising that this is the future of dating and deciding to go with that and try something completely new.
Afraid that's all we've time for. Lovely conversation with Jennifer Haskins from Two's Company, Fergal Harrington from Intro, and Avril Mulcahy, the matchmaker. Thank you all for a